Hello and welcome back to Power 5610. Today is going to be the first day I do a sponsored video, so bear with me. It's not really a sponsored video, but they sent me this scope, asked me to review it, and I've got more items for them to send me on the way. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Feyachi 3x9x40 rifle scope with bullet drop compensator on it. As you can see here, I have it mounted to my Palmetto State Armory 300 Blackout. Just for safety purposes, you can see here, there's nothing in the mag. There's no mags in the mag well, and no bullets in the chamber. But I can't remember the name of the scope that I got. I'll link the scope mount that I got. I will link those down below once I finish editing this video. Bought a scope mount for it, and then I just bought a M-locked Picatinny rail adapter out here on the front, and then put the bipod that I got from Amazon for my Smith & Wesson 15x22 on there. So I was going to do an unboxing video, but honestly I was just so excited to get this rifle scope out that I unboxed it, mounted it, went out and shot it before I even did this video, which I will show the shooting in a little bit later. So you get a little user instruction manual with it. It comes nicely in these foam pads, and then you get a nice little lens cleaning cloth with it as well. And you also get these scope covers. They're flip-ups, but they do not come on it. They're just, I mean, they just slide right on there. Both sides. It has a 3x9 zoom on the front of it, and I left the flip-up mounts because honestly my scope doesn't even have this on my hunting rifle, and I'm really in love with those. So it came with that, and it came with these instructions, and it has a bullet drop compensator on it, and I don't even think my Nikon came with instructions on how to exactly sight that in. But this one comes with a, like obviously I know how to sight in a scope, but I've never worried about the bullet drop compensator. This one actually tells you, like for Class A, high powered big game rifle, moderate ranges. So you use 100 yard zero on your main crosshair, and then your first hash mark will be 200 yards, second hash mark will be 3, third will be 400, and the bottom of the post will be 500 yards. Class B are high-powered big game rifle and magnum rifles, extended ranges 100 to 600 yards, so you use a 200 yard zero on your main crosshair, and then it goes down 100 yards each time. And then it goes the whole way down to high velocity small caliber varmint rifles, so that'd be like your 22 WMRs, your 17 HMRs. And then it even has a Class E on here for 22 long rifle, where your first hash mark will be, you use 50 yards on your first one, 60 will be your first hash marks, 90 will be your second, 120 will be your third, and then the top of the bottom post will be 140 yards. And it actually has shotguns on here as well. But what I really liked about this is it actually tells you, these are all the hash marks are spaced at 2 MOA, with the inside ends of the heavy horizontal crosshairs at 8 MOA. And I'll show you the inside of the rifle if I can get a good shot of it, of the inside of the scope here. But it tells you exactly how to range it based on the height of what you're shooting, and then how to range it in the reticle, which I thought was pretty interesting. It was actually a decent read in here, because I've never ranged anything with just a rifle scope, but this one has hash marks going up and across, so you can measure what it is, and then you have to kind of know, like, a coyote's breast width is about 18 inches, that kind of thing, which is what I want to get this out using. I know it's a 300 Blackout, so it's a little bit larger of a caliber to use against coyotes, but if I'm hunting coyotes, it's just because I don't like coyotes, so I'm just going to shoot them as a pest animal, not for a mount. But back to the rifle. It's basically a traditional rifle scope. I mean, your zoom is right here on the rifle scope. Like I said, flip up sights here, or flip up covers. And then the only thing that kind of throws me off is this one covers the focus reticle on it right here. So if you want to adjust the focus, you actually have to twist the cap, which would throw you off, but then you can just pull it off, put it back on, or do it before you do that. So in today's video, I actually sighted this in at around 100 yards. And I'll cut to that video really quick once I'm done showing you the rest of the rifle here. So here's the rifle scope up close. As you can see, I'm down in my basement. So I did this video a little bit differently. I decided to go into my basement for it, but this is the scope itself. Very heavy duty. I did like that about it too. When I pulled it out of the box, it didn't feel like a really chintzy scope. Here, let me flip this up for you. Let me see if I can get a good angle. There you go. Wow. It's got a nice eye relief on it, as you can see. And if you can zoom in, yeah, you can see all the hash marks there. The ones going down are obviously for height, and then the ones on the sides are obviously for measuring distance. But you can see there, it's a very clear scope. I did like that about it too. I have another scope mounted on my 22, and I would mount this one on a 22, but it just seems like too nice of a scope that I don't want to use it as my main scope, because I have a much higher reticle or higher zoom one on my hunting rifle, but I didn't want to use it on a 22 because it just felt like a waste. For the price of these things, you can really use them for just about anything. I mean, they're cheap enough you can justify putting it on a 22, but they're also good quality, so you can put it on something like this. Another feature I found out while I was at the range, because I didn't even look at these, is the caps. You just unscrew that, and then, but to adjust it, you just move this. There's no thing in the middle where you have to get out a coin or anything like I'm used to, flathead screwdriver, whatever your poison is for that. But you just turn this whole knob to adjust the elevation and left to right reticle. It's the same on this one. Obviously you can figure that out for your own. But yeah, I was really impressed with how clear the rifle is, how well it worked. So I'm going to take you out to the range now. We're going to fire a couple shots, see if we can get this zeroed in at around 100, and then we'll come back to the basement here to finish this one up. Okay, so we're out on the range here. I have my 300 with the scope on it, like I showed you in the house. I'm going to be shooting it. It's not exactly 100 yards. We're pretty close. I don't have a rangefinder out here. I'm going to do an update video on this, obviously, because as we all know, scopes can get a 0, but do they hold that 0? And that's the main thing I want to find out with this scope. Today we're just going to see if we can get it zeroed and work on it from there. I am using 300 blackout. I don't know how to pronounce this correctly. Ammo. It's cheap plinking ammo. It's like $11 for 20. 300 blackout is a little bit more expensive to shoot, but they are 147 grain supersonic bullets. A lot of people ask me about that, and I know that there's a big difference between supersonic and subsonic. I don't know the details about it, but I know that obviously subsonic runs a lot slower, so that's why I'm using supersonic, because I don't have a suppressor anyway. But basically, like I said, we're just gonna get it zeroed today, see how it shoots, see if it can hold that 0 after a couple of shots once I get it in a true 0, and then we'll go from there. Another nice thing about living out here is we were always very resourceful, thanks to my father. We never had targets a lot growing up. We always just brought out a piece of paper, usually paper plates, and just put a circle on them. So that's what I did. You can't see it real well in the picture, but there is a circle in the middle of that paper. It's just an envelope I had from work. So we're gonna get up in the truck here, start firing some rounds at it. Okay. So if it hit where I think it did, it needs to go to the right quite a bit. After much user error, finally getting it sighted in, you can see there's like 4 little specks up there in the corner of the target. I finally got it on paper, finally, And I think it was all me, obviously. So now that I got it on paper, I'm gonna try and dial it into that little dot. Let's go down and see how those last couple shots did. So you can see here, after finally got it where I wanted it to be, it's hanging a little bit right, which they're kind of moving, but there's a couple things to consider here also. First off, this piece of paper, you know, is as large as my hand. So that's a pretty good, it's not a nail driver, but what I have it mounted on, my Palmetto State Armory 300 Blackout, which was a $400 gun. I don't expect it to be a nail driver. I will take that. I mean, I'm gonna move it to the left just a little bit to get it right so they're circling that dot. I don't expect to have one dot this big where I keep shooting. Maybe if I had higher standards, but I don't. I'm gonna be using it for coyotes, and that's about the size of a coyote's chest, so I'm not really worried about that. But we'll go back into the garage and we'll finish this video up in there. So unfortunately I didn't get to do a lot out at the range. I filmed another video before that one, was running out of daylight. Winter's terrible for shooting because it just gets so dark so early, and working night shift, I usually sleep till 1 or 2 in the afternoon. So I'm trying here, guys, I am. But I didn't get it sighted in exactly where I wanted it, but for the first couple shots, it did take me about a whole mag to get it on paper. The first couple shots were a little bit off. I couldn't get them on paper, but once I started to get it on paper, they were smacking consistently, and I wasn't like holding as steady as if I was firing like a hunting rifle per se, because I mean, it's a semi-automatic. Of course, it's not going to be as accurate as a hunting rifle. It can be, but this is a $400 gun base setup, so I'm not expecting hunting rifle performance out of it. But I mean, I got a grouping about that big in my first couple shots. If I took the time and dialed it in a little bit more, I could definitely get a better grouping than that. I was really happy with that. I am going to retest this because everyone knows a scope can perform really well. Just like if you go back to my 300 Blackout video from the first time, I was shooting perfect little circles like this with my fake ACOG sight that I got from a gun show. And the next time I went out and shot it, it was all over the place. So it's not how well you can get a zero, it's how well it holds that zero. So I'm gonna definitely retest it at 100 yards, and then I'll be pushing it out. I'm hoping to get out to about a 300 yard range with this gun, and we'll see if we can keep it on a zero for that. And then we'll also be able to test out the bullet drop compensator. So make sure you watch for that video coming up, hopefully in the near future. But as of right now, I gotta say, for the price point of this, it was a $60 scope plus some change for taxes. And I got this actually off of Amazon. I will link their site down below. It is Feyachi or Feyachi. I'm not 100% sure on the pronunciation. He got a hold of me and said, this is the first thing I'll send you. Let me know what you want to send me after I do the review on this one. So I'm going to link just their Amazon site down below. I will link the site for this as well, but let me know what you'd like me to review next from their site. He did give me a list of things. I don't have it with me. It's their new products, not their ones that have been up there for a while. But there's red dots, reflexes, Glock sights, and there was a shooting bag on there, and punches and stuff for building an AR. So let me know in the comment section what you'd like to see next. I really do like this setup. I hope it holds a 0. As of right now, I'm gonna recommend this to all my viewers, and I'm not gonna do recommendations. I told them I'd give them an honest review. And the hardest part about this scope was getting it on paper. But once I got it on paper, found out where exactly I was shooting, it, like I said, held a group like that big, which is not bad for someone who's not used to. I don't usually shoot out to 100 yards unless I'm using my hunting rifle. So for 300 blackout, Palmetto State Armory with this scope, I gotta recommend this one. I definitely will be buying more of these. Like I said, let me know down in the comments what you want to see from this company as well. I'll link everything I used in this description. Obviously not the Palmetto part, but the M-locked Picatinny adapter, the bipod, the scope mount, and the scope. I'll link them all down below, but the main point of this video was for this scope, and what you're getting is a lot for a $60 price point. Highly recommend these scopes, and I will be doing an update video later. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I've been Pyro. Have yourselves a wonderful day.